Hello, my brothers. Do you like Dr. Umar Johnson? What are you talking about? You don't like Dr. Umar? What did he ever do to you besides, race bait? Say lots of cringe. Unironically racist. Framing it under woke language. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Dr. Umar Johnson. He is a great guy. He is amazing in every way. Every way. Let us press play on this beautiful video.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlemagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
King Kong Consciousness is back.
Dr. Umar Johnson, welcome.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Brothers, glad to be back.
Glad to have you, man. First of all, you look slim, brother.
Shrink
you know,
down a little bit.
Yes,
There we go.
I think I have.
All
I didn't do nothing
better.
intentional, so let me not sit here and lie.
Okay.
I guess it's just, getting older and wiser, I hope.
And first things first, man, congrats on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. I've been paying attention. I
Yes,
see
sir.
that you
Yes,
got
sir.
the building.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing renovations on the building.
Yes,
I saw you
sir.
put the HVAC in, all
Yes,
kind of other
sir.
stuff.
We're just about done. Electric is awaiting a permit. HVAC is awaiting controls. They're actually at the school right now. Plumbing is just about done. They got one more piece. Fire alarm is done. They got to check one more piece to that. The monitoring system is done. I'm hoping by the end of the calendar year we can get our inspection and have a grand opening in February, hopefully.
And you waiting on, you got to get accreditation too? Or?
Nah, well, your accreditation comes from the state.
Gotcha.
So it's the state that gives you the license to operate. If you want accreditation beyond that, you can seek out professional accreditation bureaus, but that's not legally required.
Man, why don't you talk about that more, Dr. Umar, especially being that they tried to clown you for so long about, not
I
having
don't
the
mind
school
that
and-
because if you know that your mission is genuine, it's no need to respond to the negativity because at some day,
Alright, just so
the
y'all
fruit of your
know,
works
Dr.
will
Umar is
manifest.
literally a black
You follow.
fascist.
So
Yeah.
my thing is, while
Yeah,
arguing,
keep
you
that in
know
mind. This
one
grand
day they're
mission
going
he's
to see
talking
school.
about
Now,
is
talk about the
hierarchical
process, 'cause
garbage.
It was a long process.
It was a very long
There was some
process.
trials and tribulations
Yes,
and
sir.
hurdles. So
Yes, sir.
Talk about that a little bit and what you had to get through, and also getting funded.
Yes, sir. We took our first donation in St. Louis 2014. We heard about the St. Paul's College, which was an HBCU closed in Virginia. They wanted $2 million, so we tried to raise it as quickly as we can. That was a bit ambitious. We didn't succeed. It was sold to an Asian company, unfortunately. An HBCU
Wow.
sold to another race, I think is a great disappointment for us as a people. So then we just started looking for a day school. So I went to Chicago, Detroit, Florida, Ohio, all over the country. I was just flying looking for a school. And then in 2017, I was on LoopNet, which was my main source of new property. And I saw this campus in Wilmington, Delaware that I had heard about, but never had a chance to see. So I'm on my way to Nat Turner celebration, August 21st, 2017, the Great North American Eclipse. I stopped, I saw the campus. I said, this looks pretty nice. When I got back from Nat
pretty
Turner, I
nice.
had to go to Cuba first to get my Ifa initiation. I practiced Yoruba spirituality. Came back from Cuba, and I got a chance to go into the school, and I saw it. I said, we want this school, but they wanted $2 million. We couldn't afford that. We only had $500,000. So I negotiated with them from August of 17 until February of 19, and they finally decided to sell us the building for the money that we had.
Wow.
So now we got the building. So what's been going on the past 3.5 years? Getting contractors who you can trust to help you with it. And contractors were not kind to us, man. They ripped us off, they scammed us, they stole out the building. The con is real. The con and contractor
I mean,
I've been dealing with it for the last 5
is very
years.
real, bro.
I don't think
Then
that,
finally,
what he's
we
saying
had our
here is,
second
like,
FDMG
fake or
festival this
anything.
past September the 10th. And I said, you know what? We may have to step
Capitalism
outside
and
the
also
African American
racism.
community to get this done. Because we've been waiting 3 years for our people to help us, not for free. We could afford to pay them, but they wasn't being honest with us and straight up. And of course, we know that's not all of our contractors. We want to be clear. We've met a lot of decent contractors along the way, but the ones who we had to use because they was licensed and certified where we are, they didn't really do us right. So I said, let's go with some white folks. And guess what? Here we are, 90 days later, and the white contractors have gotten us to the finish line in 3 months versus 3 years waiting on our own people.
So what does that say?
It says that we need the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy.
Word.
It says that black boys have to be raised and trained in how to be black men and how to be committed to the black community.
That is interesting, because he's not entirely wrong here. It literally just dawned on me what he was, like, getting at with all that. Like, it's unfortunate because, like, a lot of black people are just, like, so, like, disenfranchised and, like, impoverished to the point where it's just, like, the most that any of us can really do is just, like, look after ourselves and not give a single fuck about each other at at all. It's really bad. Like, our conditions have encouraged us to be more selfish than we have any right to be honest. Because if we were more, like, community oriented, we would be much better off than we are now. I don't think we would be in a utopia or anything like that, but we'll definitely be far better off than we are now. And it's bad. And a lot of it, I can easily blame white supremacy on this. It's like the reason we're in such conditions where we're, like, more, like, inclined to look after our own selves than, like, the broader community. It's because of white supremacy. That's why, I mean, we're impoverished. White supremacy impoverished us. So we're just fending for ourselves now. We're so impoverished and disenfranchised, we have nothing else to do but to look after ourselves. And, you know, con each other and lie to each other and in worst cases, kill each other. It's bad. It's horrible.
Because I think as a community, we've lost our integrity, our honor, our loyalty, and our commitment. If I was who I am for black people, for the Mexican American community, that school would have been done 3 years ago. If I was who I am to the Asian community, the Anglo-Saxon community, the Native American community, that school gets done the first year we purchased it. We're not sitting here 3.5 years after.
Oh, I get what he said. He's saying that they're more community oriented, which is true. They are, especially Mexicans. Well, actually, it's hard to quantify who is more community oriented, like between Mexicans and Asians. But those two races, and it has more to do with how their culture is. Culturally, they're just more family oriented. Asians and Mexicans are, so they can easily they have no problem pulling their resources together and just killing it basically because they're more community oriented. American black people, on the other hand, no.
In addition to your required math, science, language, and social studies, we're going to have financial and economic science. Critical. How to do your own taxes, real estate, international investments, business planning. Because as we've talked about before, going to college is not automatically a recipe for success, but it is automatically a recipe for debt. So for those young men who want to go to college, we want to give them that ability to do that, but we also want to give them other means of making an economic impact and survival plan for their lives. So we got financial and economic, we have dietary and nutritional, how to eat to live, a lot of your Dr. Sebi type of information, Dr. Laila Africa, rest in peace to both of them, that will be in there. Agricultural and agronomical, we're going to teach them how to grow. They have to grow their own food in order to graduate. We have to become agriculturally self-sufficient. In addition to that, spiritual and astrological science, I want our young men to understand how African people related to God before Abraham, before Jesus, before Muhammad. Those religions, in all due respect to all of them, they're only Christianity is 2,000 years old.
I like that pride flag in the
Islam
background.
is
That's interesting.
Years old. Judaism is about 4,000 or 5,000 years old, but traditional African culture and spirituality is more than 250,000 years old. We dealt with God far longer from a non-Abrahamic tradition than we have from an Abrahamic tradition. Nothing's wrong with those, but I want our children to understand how
What the
we deal
fuck
with
is
the
Dr.
ancestors,
Umar
how we
talking
put the earth
about?
in the land. And so we're going to have that. There will also be science of the black family. So that includes science of the black man, the black woman, the black child, how to be a gentleman, how to take care of your woman, how to raise your children, how to be a leader in the community. And of course, there will be military and political science, if I didn't mention that. We do want to teach them survival skills, traditional African martial arts, both with and without weapons, understanding the world that we live in. Why is Africa the richest continent, but in the poorest condition? Why was Barack Obama made president? And it had nothing to do with America reinventing herself. Okay, why has multiculturalism been used as a weapon against African people? So we want to make sure that we are graduating well-rounded young men who can go anywhere.
What do you mean by
multiculturalism
multiculturalism being a weapon against
what? Building academy. We are not college prep. We are not military prep. We are not trade school prep. They will be ready for any of those. But above all that, we are nation building prep.
Can you answer that President Obama question? I'd like to know the answer to that.
Oh, Barack Obama was made president for two reasons. Domestically, he was made president to force alternative sexual lifestyles onto black children.
What?
Sexual confusion.
What do you mean?
Of population control. And
what?
Internationally,
oh God!
He was made president to go
oh
to
Jesus! Oh, I didn't know he was gonna jump right into that. He's doing this whole narrative thing, where it's like the liberal Democrat Party is trying to dwindle the black population by turning all the black kids gay and trans. That is so far removed from reality. I don't even know where to begin with that.
There to build military bases all throughout the continent. And guess what? There's been about 6 coups in Africa over the past year, and every single coup was in a country with a United States military base. No coincidence. America only practices democracy where the person who wins the election has an agenda that is in the interest of America. Charlemagne, you can be elected
well, that's
president,
true. That's true.
but if your agenda is not in the interest of the white power structure, you will be overthrown. Democracy only lasts as long as the person winning the election is favorable to the agenda of the power structure.
Well, I think you see that all the time, especially with the GOP.
I would like to know what he means
Georgia,
by that.
Right? They didn't care if Herschel Walker was a terrible candidate. They knew that if he got into the Senate, he was going to do the bidding of the GOP.
Who won the runoff? Warnock won.
Yeah,
okay, here's what I'm going to say to that. And my maternal ancestry is from Georgia. It didn't make a difference if Warnock won. It didn't make a difference if Herschel Walker won. Because both of them are candidates who are aligned with 2 white racist political parties. The Democratic Party don't care about black people. The Republican Party don't care about black people. Raphael Warnock hasn't done nothing his first...
Okay, this is a common argument I hear black fascists like Dr. Umar and Tariq Nasheed, Amazing Lucas, all those dumb fucks. They do this, they peddle this narrative that like both the Democrats and the Republicans are supportive of white supremacy in different ways. And by extension of that, the right and the left are also supporting white supremacy, which is stupid. The Democrats are far less white supremacy oriented. There are definitely racists in the Democratic Party, but they're definitely a far better tool. They're a tool that we should utilize against white supremacy and fascism in America. I'll say that. The Republicans are actively in favor of fascism and white supremacy. They're just blatantly in favor of that. We literally have the Proud Boys backing people like Donald Trump. All these kinds of white supremacist groups, neo-Nazis, absolutely in love with Trump. How much of that do you see for Biden? How much of that have you seen for Barack Obama? How much of that have you seen for Hillary Clinton? As much as I hate her. Nowhere? None? How strange, huh? Where's this this white supremacy in a Democratic Party, huh? This is not an endorsement of the Democratic Party. I do not like the Democratic Party, but they are far better than the Republicans. I at least have the cognitive ability to recognize that. Dr. Umar, being an idiot, doesn't.
Term, he's not going to do nothing his second term, and if Herschel Walker would have won, it would have been the same thing. One of the things we have to do as black people, we have to get off this Republican Democratic political dichotomy because it does not serve us and it wasn't created for our interests. That is a white intellectual conversation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Our dichotomy is not democracy or republicanism. Our dichotomy is freedom or oppression. That's the black dichotomy. Who belongs to the Freedom Party? Who belongs to the House Negro Party? That's it. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus.
The Republican
59
Party is
African
definitely the
Americans,
House Negro
and
Party.
more than half of them are old enough to be your grandparents. Why do we have people in the CBC in their 70s, in their 80s, in their 60s? Don't get me wrong. In African culture, we believe an old man for counsel and a young man for war. But look who we got in D.C. fighting for justice for African people. They're senior citizens. And we wonder why nothing's getting done because they don't want to pass the baton. And this is an issue that we have had in the black community for a long time. Not just Congressional Black Caucus, Black Church, Black Community Organization, where we don't want to pass the baton to the next generation. And why not? Black men and women are seldom given an opportunity to experience real power. So when we get a taste of real power, we don't like to give it up because we're not used to it. That's why you got 100-year-old pastors running churches when you got 20 or 30-year-old young pastors in the same congregation who will never get a chance to give a sermon. That's why you see so many old leaders in black organizations because they don't want to pass the baton because the old black man's ego is bigger and stronger than the young black man's ego.
And I want to go back to something you said
I
about
don't,
Obama.
I don't know anything
Obama
about that,
opposed
so I'm not going to
same-sex
comment.
marriage in 08.
Oh, when he ran.
Yeah.
But the power structure told him you're going to support this when you get in there.
That was the second term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the agenda had not yet been set, but when the agenda was set, he had to carry it out because Obama belonged to a white racist political party.
Let me ask you a
The
question.
fuck does that even? What? What?
school.
Where's
Yes,
the
sir.
racism in Democratic Party? Don't answer that.
anything-
There's
what
racism
are the
there. There are
politics
racists in
if there
Democratic
are
Party.
any?
It's not as prominent as it is in the Republican Party.
There's really no qualification.
Definitely the
Black
people
citizens, gays,
that are the
straight,
heads of the
doesn't matter if
party
you're
aren't
mixed,
like pushing white
anything.
supremacy.
Well, a
Like, not
mixed
really.
African, for those of us who are revolutionary Pan-African nationalists, Garveyites, a mixed African is considered an African. I do not discriminate between a black man with a white mother or a black man with a black mother or a black woman with a white father or a black woman with a black father. If one of your parents is an African, we accept you as an African as long as you identify. You have to be psychologically black and you also have to be biologically black.
Let it
You
be known,
understand? But we don't take
Dr.
issue with
Umar
mixed race. Many
Johnson
of the
is
greatest
not a
Pan-Africanists
colorist.
who ever lived were mixed race. There's
He
even
is
some
not
argument
puritanical.
that the greatest revolutionary of all time in this country, the Prophet Nat Turner, he may have been of mixed race. His mother may have been raped by the slave master. You see, so we don't take issue over that. On the plantation, you had no control how you came into this world. Now, with that being said, it's important that black men and black women, even if they be mixed race Africans, they understand that we will not perpetuate that mistake because it does not benefit
Mistake?
the black community. So although you may have
He
a
does
white
consider it a
parent,
mistake,
you
though.
will only produce
Okay.
children with someone who looks like you.
Be careful drinking that. That's called liquid death now. You should
It's water.
look at the can.
Okay, listen. Here's what Dr. Umar is saying, right? I'll put his insane autistic ramblings into English for you. All right. There's nothing wrong with being mixed race, but if you are engaging in the act of intermingling and mixing races, you suck. Fuck you. That's what he's saying.
Make sure.
I actually think
You
that's
don't want to give my brother nothing. Just get some regular water, man.
The CIA is the CIA in here.
No, I think that's Wiz Khalifa's water. Actually, I think he's.
Oh, okay.
Wiz Khalifa from PA, so that might be okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna be careful because I know when
Right.
Brother Malcolm went to the Middle East, they poisoned his drink.
I think I
Malcolm
heard
had
that
to get
before.
pumped. They tried to kill Malcolm in the Middle East.
We
Johnny,
ain't trying to kill you. We ain't trying to kill you.
I know y'all not, but I don't know who else around here. Okay? Johnny Cochran was poisoned. And you know Johnny Cochran was murdered because Johnny Cochran was on the verge of finding out, or he was going to determine how much reparations America owes African people. Right after that, Johnny Cochran ends up dead. Patrice Lumumba in the Congo, first democratically elected prime minister of the Congo, they poisoned his daughter in trying to poison him. The CIA threw the toothpaste So we got to be clear that there's a history. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, a leader of the New Black Panther Party, he may have also been poisoned. So we got to be careful about what we eat and what we drink, especially me.
So what do you think about the study?
No
of
comment.
nature?
I don't know anything
You
about
what I mean?
these,
'Cause,
but
I
I'm
mean,
going to
that
assume
study
that
is
Dr.
reparations.
Umar is
Yeah,
kind of is
reparations we're
correct
not
on all of
supposed
this.
to see and
It's
determine,
unfortunate
you
that I
know,
don't
who gets reparations and how
know
much
about all these
reparations.
things.
Well, let's take it a step further. The state of California legislature just approved in the past few days a bill that will give each African American in the state of California $233,000 as a reparations payment.
I think that's some bullshit. I think Gavin Newsom is just doing that because reparations is going to be the buzzword for 2024 to get black people energized.
It is, and it's also a trap. Now, first of all, the reparations movement comes out of the Pan-Africanist movement. We gave birth to reparations. It's not anything new. That's our thing, although it's for the whole people. A cash payout for reparations is a trap. And the reason a cash payout for reparations is a trap is because so much of what needs to be fixed in American society for African people will take more than cash to do it.
I'm gonna hear him out on
I
this.
give DJ Envy $233,000. Or if I take the Bob Johnson plan, he said each American African is due $350,000, right? I give you $350,000. Does that stop mass incarceration?
Nope.
Does that stop miseducation?
No.
Does that stop gentrification? Does that stop
No.
police genocide? Does
No.
that guarantee us access to wealth? I mean, in
No.
the state of California, what can you get with $233,000? I'm not even sure if that's enough for a house. And on top
No.
of that, the minute they give you the payment, they can reduce the value of the payment through inflation. So I can flood the economy with money so the 233 is only worth 120 in about 24 hours. And
Honestly,
then guess what
inflation
they're
has
gonna do after they
already
give the
happened to the
reparations
point where it's not
African
even
people?
like
They're gonna
really
find
much
subsidy
anyway.
Programs to give to the LGBTQ, to the women, to immigrants, to other
Wait.
people. So at the end of the day, what looked like a step up for black people would be a step back. If I was in charge of the reparations conversation, number one, control of all black music must only be done through the black community.
The fuck does that mean?
No non-African can control our music.
What?
Prince, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Biggie, Tupac. If the publishing, if the marketing, if the promotion, if the recording is not controlled by black people, that has to change.
Oh
We
yeah.
own our own
Actually,
music.
I agree with this,
Nobody-
but I want to apply that broadly. IPs are kind of stupid anyway. But under a capitalist structure, yeah, they should have. People should definitely have ownership over their own art, and the fact that people have to sell their products to major companies for it to even get off the ground is predatory, in my opinion. It is. A lot of artists just get taken advantage of in general. It's really disgusting, and this is not unique to just black people. It is like even harsher to black people though, because black people in the art, in any form of art, like music, any kind of entertainment, performance art, music, goddamn, even like sports, they get taken advantage of by billionaires who are more often than not white, and they exploit their talents to enrichen themselves. Meanwhile, they're getting like pennies compared to what the record label is getting for the music example. It's disgusting, and it's just predatory. The artists like this, they just get taken advantage of, and especially black artists. Bad. So something needs to change in that area.
Nobody can own, sell, produce, publish, promote black music but black people.
Why is that so important?
Because music is one of America's leading export industries. America makes more money off black music than almost anything else that she sells. So if we control the music, we have a steady stream of global revenue where we can build a black Wall Street in every single city in America for black people. That's how much money will be coming in from black music. That's one. Two,
I don't want a
all
black Wall Street.
inventions
I don't
return
want
to
a
us
Wall Street.
permanently. Everything we invented is a permanent patent for Africans. And if you want to use it, you must pay us a percentage. The cell phone, we invented that. Internet, that's ours. Helicopter, that's ours.
Microphone.
Self-lubricating engine, the microphone, the stop sign, the walkie-talkie.
Thought Hitler invented the
Why are those
microphone.
lights on right now? Because a black man named Lewis Latimer wrote a textbook that taught China, the UK, Canada, and America how to light up a whole city at night. Without Lewis Latimer, you don't get street lights at night. You don't get constant illumination anywhere in the world. So guess what? Anybody running lights, you paying black people. Take back ownership of our music. Take back ownership of our inventions. Next on the list is
I'm not going to assume that he's wrong, but I need to actually research and substantiate a lot of what he's saying here.
Between 1865
I'm not saying that
and
he's wrong.
Malcolm's
I just don't know.
assassination in
I
1965.
need to be sure.
We need to put together a research team that's going to investigate all the land that was stolen from African people and return it back. Since most of our people are dealing with homelessness, we have the highest homelessness rate in Black America since the 60s. If we can get our land back, that will go a long way to getting a lot of our single mothers and their children off the street. In addition to that, America has about 10 major exports: gold, oil, water, electricity. We get a 25% cut permanently. This is perpetual. Every time America makes a dollar, we get 25 cents of that dollar as part of the reparations payment. American Africans, 60% of us,
you know
make up
what?
10 states.
I agree with
All
that.
10 of the states that represent 60% of us are seaboarding states. We should automatically control the port so we know what's coming in, what's going out, and we also get a percentage of that. But here's my biggest issue with reparations 3. One, psychological damages. I'm not hearing enough of the reparations talking heads discuss enough about the psychological damages. You know you can get far more from what you're owed psychologically than you can ever get for 243 years of unpaid labor on the
How do you
plantation.
fix psychological
The
damage?
psychological damage is what affects us the most.
Systemically.
Every time you see a black man with a white woman, that's psychological damage. Every time you see a black woman with a blonde wig on her head, that's psychological damage. Every time you see a little black boy or girl playing with a white doll instead of a black doll, that's psychological damage.
Okay, that part is that part is like, so that I wouldn't call it psychological damage, but it is like it's bad. What he's talking about is like the racial bias that even black people unfortunately uphold. It's like black people and white people in American society, or just Western society broadly, uphold white beauty standards and whiteness above all else. Whether we realize it or not, whether we want to or not, it's just a reality. This is the biases that we were kind of born into because it's the culture that we're kind of indoctrinated in by like osmosis. It is what it is. Those last two, I kind of agree with that. Wearing a blonde wig, I mean, I guess, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having different colored wigs inherently. Depends on the reason why you're doing it. If a black woman is wearing like a blonde wig because she thinks like blonde hair is inherently more beautiful than like natural black hair, then there's something wrong. But if she's just wearing it just because she just simply likes the look, then that's different. Completely different.
The life of another black man, that's psychological damage. America owes us more for the psychological Holocaust than she can ever owe for the labor. So we need to talk more about that. In addition to that, I don't hear nobody talking about the role the Arabs played in the transatlantic slave trade. I don't hear anybody talking about the role that the European Jews played in the slave trade. I don't hear nobody
Why
talking about the role
are
that
we
the Catholic
talking
Church
about
played in the slave
Jews?
trade. If we're going to talk about
Why is the Jewish thing important? Like, really? If I look into this and I find out that like only percentage of them were Jewish and it wasn't like, hell, even if like 50% of them were Jewish, it doesn't mean anything. It's the fact that they're white that's important in this racial context. This extra applying Jews to this as well is why? There's no point. Jews don't uphold white supremacy broadly. White people do. And it just so happens that like a lot of, in America at least, a lot of Jews are white. Like most Jews are white, most white people aren't Jews.
reparations, bring every group that was responsible, those who financed the slave ships.
That'd be Nigerians too, though.
Okay, let's talk about that. There was participation from some African kingdoms. We know that Dahomey, for example, which was popularized in the Lion King movie. The Woman King movie. There was some African participation, but guess what? The transatlantic slave trade was a European operation. It was controlled. It grew. It was financed by Europeans. When many of the African nations found out what was really being done to us. Because in Africa, there was no concept of chattel slavery. There was no such thing as owning people forever. There was no such thing as perpetual ownership of an entire family line or a bloodline. You understand?
I don't even know if that's true at all.
Dehumanized. European
I don't. Like, slavery did exist in Africa, but definitely not in the way that American slavery was. Well, well, actually, I think he's right here, actually, because, like, from what I understand about, like, African slavery, it wasn't, like, an eternal, perpetual thing, like he said. Like, you could actually earn your way out of, like, slavery or service. Like, as far as we can tell, like, broadly, African slavery wasn't nearly as, dehumanizing, as predatory, and as disgusting as American slavery was. American slavery is actually very unique compared to most civilizations that we know of in terms of their slavery practices. Like, as far as I can tell, and as far as, like, I think historians can actually back this up, that, like, when it comes to slavery, America is unique in its harshness and its level of dehumanization and evil that was involved in the practices. Yeah, I don't even know why I had to scrutinize there. I don't know, knee-jerk.
Slavery stripped African people of our humanity. There's no precedent for that in the world before European chattel slavery. They didn't know what they were getting into. They were wrong and can be held accountable. But let's not take the onus off of the true power structure behind slavery, and that was the white man.
I need to say Portuguese.
Oh, Portuguese was in it, the Dutch was in it, the Italians was in it, the Germans was in it. Who didn't have a hand either in slavery outright or colonization that came after it? And when you factor in colonization with slavery, you can't possibly blame an African nation for that, because they suffered during colonization as much as we did in slavery. So I reject any proposal that wants to make African people more liable for slavery than the white people who owned, controlled, expanded, and benefited.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, they're definitely not more liable. It's just like you said, everybody.
Nor are they equally liable.
Oh, equally. Everybody needs to be at the table.
Absolutely, but Africa don't owe us reparations. They owe us as a people internal reparations, just like we owe ourselves as a people internal reparations. Here's what I want to say. We are entitled to reparations. We will get it. But let us be clear something. Money isn't going to fix many of the problems that we have.
I agree. It is a start, though. It is a start.
Accusations and tearing down that's going on all over the internet between black men and black women. Money not going to stop that. Money ain't going to make the black man love the white woman anymore. You understand me?
Oh my God.
Money is not going to remove the self-hatred complex that so many African
He just
people
can't
have
keep
within
white
us.
women out of
There's
his
so
mouth.
much that we have to do
It's like
on
he
our
eats,
own
sleeps,
that
and
money
breathes
cannot
white
buy.
women.
So anybody
Everything
who
wrong
thinks
in the
that
world
money
is white
going
women.
to
This dude
reverse
stubs his
the
toe.
psychological
White women
Holocaust
did
is
it.
insane. It does has its place, but it is not
He
a
steps on a
panacea for all
Lego.
of our
The Jews
problems.
did it.
And I am of the opinion that if you don't change the way we think before we get reparations, if you don't build an infrastructure for African people before we get reparations, you change nothing else about African people.
Damn.
Can we please talk about Jerry Jones?
Yes, we can. You recently posted a picture of what?
They tried to slander our brother over here.
Talk to me.
About what?
Over the summer, I guess there was a video of you, I guess,
At the
following-
Cherry
They
Hill
tried to
Mall.
say you had, they tried to say you had jungle fever,
They
Dr.
said you
Umar.
had jungle fever in the mall.
Okay, let me tell you what happened.
I thought we talked to him about that already.
Somebody tried to hack my phone.
feel like that's
iPhone.
sometimes.
It went out.
iPhone.
My phone never went out. I call iPhone.
What?
They say, okay, we have an appointment for you. I said, I'm in Philadelphia.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Closest place,
listen,
Cherry
bro.
Mall, Apple Store. No
Listen, I would have forgiven the black fascism. I would have forgiven the white racism. I would have forgiven all the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. I would have forgiven the anti-Semitism. But the fact that this man decided to get an iPhone, that's a deal breaker. I'm sorry.
problem. I ain't got no phone. I need my phone. I go to Cherry Hill
the
Mall.
whitest apple of all apples.
Yes, sir. So I go to Cherry Hill Mall. They working on my phone. It's taking forever for my appointment to come up. I said, let me find something to do. I'll go get me some suits. Go back, get the phone fixed. I'm on my way out the mall. I'm done. I see a stand in the middle with incense, oils, crystals. I'm into all that. I said, okay, this must be a sister. Let me go over here. I'm looking through the incense. Young white lady come around. She said, can I help you? I said, this your stand? Because I'm like, this, because this was black people stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm like, she said, yes, my stand. She had a little foreign accent. I said, no problem. So I buy some incense. A brother stops by. Can I take a picture? Sure. I get a rock. Sister come by. Can I take a picture? Some more youth come by. Can I take a picture? The white girl start looking at me like, who are you? Like, why is everybody stopping and asking you for a picture? I said, I'm Dr. Umar. I'm a psychologist. She pulls out her phone. She said, well, let me see where you are. I said, go to YouTube, type in Umar Johnson Breakfast Club. That's exactly what I told her. That's exactly what I told her.
God.
So she pulls out her phone and she go to Umar Johnson Breakfast Club. She said, that is you. I said, that's me. Some coons at a nearby restaurant are filming the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But when they post it, they don't post the prelude to the conversation. If they would have showed everybody stopping, they would have knew she must have been curious about who he is. Yeah. They cut that off and they just showed me with her phone like I'm giving her my number. Can I get your number, baby? Blah, 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 blah. All I was doing was confirming that that's who I am. Don't you know they went up there and interviewed her?
No.
That girl got that.
They're coons for slandering you? Look, even if they did slander him, which is probably true, that's not enough to make them coons, bruh. I'm sorry. How? Somebody will like call Dr. Umar a bitch to his face, and then he'll scream, "You're a coon! How dare you! You are an anti-black racist. How, you're a traitor." Leave it to Dr. Umar to make himself like the head of black empowerment. God, how up his own ass does he have to be to actually think that, like, whenever somebody talks bad about him or does something wrong to him, suddenly now they're coons or Uncle Toms or they're racist? Or it's so stupid. That's such an egotistical view of just the world.
They interviewed all week.
The people that recorded you?
Negroes from YouTube ran to the Cherry Hill Mall and got a sat down with the Snow Bunny.
Are you one of Dr. Umar's
Snow
wives?
bunnies.
What they were trying to figure
I like snow bunnies.
And she told the truth though, and I appreciate it. She said all he did was shout. I wanted to know who he was. Everybody was stopping to talk to him. He told me to pull out, go to YouTube Breakfast Club, and he was just confirmed.
Hey,
that was
Dr.
it.
Umar,
I picked up my bag and walked off. They didn't even show me walk off.
I don't think you realize how funny it is. That's like a Dr. Umar trap. We're gonna set up the incense and the rocks, but when he go over
Oh,
there,
I didn't even
someone-
think about that. Oh, I'm pretty sure they took a picture of that, but because like to him being with a white woman is just the worst thing you could ever do. It's the most abhorrent thing a black man could ever do, is like be interested in a white woman sexually or romantically in any way. That's like the word. That's like the sin to Dr. Umar. So like these black dudes took a video of him like exchanging numbers with the white woman, and now he's and to try and frame him as Satan. And I think they did that to make fun of him, probably because they knew that he considered that to be like an abhorrent thing, so they just decided to attack him with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
it was crazy, but I'm glad she was honest because she could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
She could have said he tried to get at me. You know what I mean? So
I think people think you hate white people. You
I
don't,
don't
hate white people.
I have conversations with white folks all the time. Arabs, Chinese, East Indian. I have people who watch my work from all over the world. I would just stop in the airport by an Asian who works for, what do you call the security? TSA. He came right over to me. I'm taking my shoes off. He said,
I
"Hey,
can't
I'm a
be
big
racist.
40-year-old
I have black
Asian man." I'm not sure if
friends.
he was Chinese or Japanese, but he said, I'm a big fan of your work. Keep on doing what you're doing. Asian. I had a group of white boys run up to me at the airport. I was in Dallas, Texas. Can we take a picture? I took the picture. Why do I do that? People say, why you take pictures when white folks stop you? Because it's important for the world to know that my agenda is not hate. My agenda is African liberation. I'm opposed to white supremacy.
The shit
I'm
that
not
you
opposed
promote
to white
is hate.
people.
I'm sorry,
My
my friends.
priority is my own people, but I have nothing against yours. I'm unapologetically African. But the problem is historically, any black man who is unapologetically African, Malcolm, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, anybody who is that way, we will automatically brand it as anti-everybody else. That is not true. We are Africans. We are the original humanitarians of the planet Earth.
I know Malcolm X wasn't like
other people, but I'm unapologetically
the best
committed
person,
my
to be honest. But like, Dr. Umar is not on Malcolm X's level at all. There are a lot of things to actually respect about Malcolm X. Like, Malcolm X has a lot of good things. He was a very intelligent guy, like a very intelligent man. Dr. Umar and Malcolm X are just not even comparable. I forgot what I was even responding to, like when he was bringing up Malcolm X in the first place. But like, Malcolm X is not a white racist. Well, he probably was. If he was, he wasn't nearly the level of Dr. Umar. I don't know. Malcolm X is far from more respectable than Dr. Umar.
And white people, you just don't. I don't hate nobody. I became a psychologist to help people, and in my work, I do work with all races. But my priority is my own, because we need the most help. Charity starts at home, and so therefore I make no apologies about being for black people. I make no apologies about saying a black man has no business being with another woman, Ime Udoka and TJ Holmes. I make no apologies about that, because we got to save ourselves.
What's your thoughts on that? Since you
No, let's go to Jay. Let's stop you.
How does
now.
Not being with white women save black people? Really?
Dr. Umar is saying other communities say that and nobody has a problem with it.
Nobody says nothing.
Yeah.
I do have a problem with that when they say that. Most people do have a problem when they say the same garbage and drivel that you say. What? See that is a cope answer. This is this is a very interesting debate tactic. It's foolproof. It's called denial. If you pretend it doesn't exist, your argument is bulletproof. Like, if I sit here and say that the sky is green, and it always has been, if somebody tells me otherwise, all I have to do is deny it. If I keep on denying it, my argument is bulletproof. All I have to do is deny the fact that it's clearly blue, and keep on saying it's purple. The more I deny, the more correct I am, right? That's how that works.
Had no business having relations with another man's wife if, in fact, those women were married. It's wrong. Husband, white, black, purple is wrong. Adultery is wrong. But it's even more wrong.
Cheating is wrong.
Because you chose to go outside your community and do it. It's even more wrong.
What?
Because you chose to go into the white power structure and do it. They were not chastised because they committed adultery. Celebrities do it all the time. They were not chastised for that. They were chastised because they failed to keep in mind that black men get the white women that other white men genuinely do not want. You don't get the top of the line white women. You don't. You get leftovers. Look at most of our celebrities. They did not marry women who came from the richest white families. Black money and white money don't behave the same. New black money.
You see, his argument would hold water if marriage and if just relationships in general would just hinge it upon nothing but utility rather than love. If you don't have a love-oriented worldview of relationships and marriage, then this argument actually makes a lot of sense. If utility is the only thing that matters in regards to relationships, yeah, sure, fine, yeah, whatever. Don't date other races, I guess, because God, even with utility, that makes no sense. Like, dating and marrying a white woman doesn't really support white supremacy. Like, it doesn't. How does it really? Wow. What did he say earlier about like the whole the thing with the wealth disparity thing? Like, he justifies this by saying that like black money will go into white families, How? Because more often than not, you'll be supporting yourself and your own, like, family anyway. And besides, won't that rich white money also go into the black community as well? It's just a weird argument to pose. Because most white people aren't even that rich anyway. And let me hear it out here.
Old white money have two totally different personalities. New black money will jump on any poor white girl and make her a billionaire. Tiger Woods. Rich white money doesn't operate that way. You see, the sin of Ime Udoka in the sin.
How? Please substantiate that. Because if that white woman comes from a poor, like, white community, that white community is still poor. Even if she becomes rich by marrying, like, Tiger Woods. Like, the outcomes are just the same in both scenarios. Rich black man marries a poor white woman, I don't know, her community is still poor. Rich white man marries a poor black woman, her community is still also poor. The results are still the same. We still have the same racial disparities in terms of poverty.
Of TJ Holmes is you had an affair with a white man's wife. This is a desirable white woman. Somebody loves her and is married to her, and you had the audacity to take away from her husband being a Negro. That's why they had to be sat down. And if I could speak with Ime Udoka, I would like to ask
racism.
her,
Racism
on
sucks.
top of all that, you chose a woman from the Mormon church.
What's
Her
that
family
mean?
What?
is Mormon. The Mormons historically are one of the most racist denominations of the Christian religion.
They are.
Did you know they did not ordain black ministers until
All right.
1978?
I'll give him
They are the
this.
same-
If you're a black man and you date a Mormon woman, you have severe brain damage. Like, severe brain damage. You need Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost kind of help. Like, wow.
His leader, Brigham Young, he said the devil was black, and he also justified the enslavement of African people by way of the curse of Canaan. Ham was cursed for uncovering his father's nakedness, and as a result of that curse, be the firstborn, Canaan. So the Mormon church and Brigham Young and their other leaders said that black people's skin was black and our hair was nappy because of the curse of Canaan, and that justified our enslavement.
You think he thought about it that deep, or he was just probably hitting something? I don't think he was thinking about it that
But
deep.
here's my point. If you're going to sleep with a white woman, you don't go to the KKK and get one. You see?
Yeah, don't do
Look
that.
at the other brother, Everett, the young basketball player from Louisiana State University. June of this year, he visited his white girlfriend in Boise, Idaho. She takes him to a Mormon wedding. She should know better. They didn't let him in because he's black. Then he goes white water rafting with the snow bunny and 3 friends. They fall off the raft. Now, he's an athlete, 6 foot whatever. She's a white girl. She survives. He dies. Nobody looks for his body. It was a stranger who called the police and said he was missing. He turned up dead a couple days later. Another Mormon. Why did his parents let him go visit a white girl in Boise, Idaho? And why are you going to a Mormon wedding? And Ime Udoka, why are you sleeping with a Mormon woman? When you look at the history of the Mormon people, I'm not saying everyone, but structurally and systematically, they have been against black folks.
I'm
So
with
my
him on
goodness,
this
if
one.
you're gonna do it,
The
find a
Mormon
liberal or
thing is
something. You don't get a
don't
Mormon. It's
touch
absolutely
don't
ridiculous
touch
that they did
Mormons.
that. But they
Guys,
were wrong in what
please
they
don't
were
do
doing,
that.
but they're being punished not for adultery. They're being punished for being black men
Yeah, I think
sleeping with white women.
With TJ Holmes, I think that they about to demonize him in a real way. Like, they even already put out a story that he was having multiple affairs.
So they're gonna get them.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to touch the white women that white men have claimed or considered to be marriage worthy. You get the leftovers. Our athletes, our celebrities, they all got leftovers.
This is
They do
partially
not
true,
get top
but
of the crop
that-
white girls.
I
And
don't.
Ime Udoka
considered
and
a-
TJ Holmes made a mistake.
This
of
whole
messing with
that
women.
isn't
White women
often
who are untouched,
enforced
made
socially.
untouchable by white males.
So top
Not
of
all
crop
the
white
time.
women
It
is,
does happen, though.
Financial status, or just women that are married?
Bloodline.
Okay.
You have to come from one of them families with them names. It could also be financial as well.
Whatever
You follow
the
what I'm
word-
saying? But
whatever
white
he
men
means by
determine
desirable.
Who those women are. And it's normally a mix of income, status, and bloodline, as well as occupation. You follow what I'm saying? They're not poor. They don't come from poor means. They're not first
There's an
generation
element of
millionaires,
truth to
you
what he's
understand?
saying, but it's
Black
not
men don't
as
generally get those women.
as
And married
extremely
white women
severe
are
as
automatically
he's making it
included
out
in
to
that
be.
by virtue that they've been claimed by a white
I
man.
want to ask you something, Dr. Umar. For you, have you ever seen an interracial relationship that was acceptable to you?
No interracial relationship is acceptable because we have too many black women who are unmarried. Black women
Yeah,
are the largest
see?
population on the planet.
There you
Earth.
go.
If you can't find
There you go. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
one in America, get it from Africa. If you can't get it from Africa, go to the Caribbean, go to Canada, go to Europe. Why would a black man need to copulate, build a family with anything other than a black woman when you have so many black women available? It is an exercise.
What if the
in
person he loves isn't a
self-hatred.
black
There's no
woman?
way to get around it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
West, if he had a black woman, things would be different.
Oh, absolutely. I think Kim Kardashian used him. And the fact that they're
What?
making that man pay $200,000 a month in child support when both he and the wife are billionaires are absolutely ridiculous. I think they want to break him. And although I don't agree with the way in which Kanye articulated some of his thoughts, I appreciate the fact that he was the first.
Oh,
black
he
man
doesn't
since
agree with the
Michael
way
Jackson to
Kanye
speak truth to
articulated
power.
his thoughts. He does agree with everything he said. Yeah, I don't agree. Yeah, man. See, I don't like the way David Duke articulated his points. But what about everything David Duke said? Now, come on now. Why are you asking me that question? Come on. No. You see, I just don't agree with his rhetoric, you know? I don't agree with everything David Duke said. So you agree with some of what David Duke said? No. I mean, like, so what don't you agree with David Duke? That's a personal question.
To specifically identify certain communities of Europeans who have exploited gangster rap, black entertainers, and other people since its inception, and nobody has called them out. He's the first to do it since Michael Jackson. But when Michael did it, he wasn't in his prime. Kanye did it in his prime.
I can't give Kanye no respect because I've never seen a black man seek more white validation than Kanye was.
Well,
Oh,
that's
true.
the issue.
Man's hanging out with literal
Kanye
white
is not
supremacists.
choosing
Like,
a side.
you can't excuse
One
that.
day, it's about saving our people. The next day, you on a date with another snow bunny. One day,
What?
it's
He's
about
white
helping the
supremacist.
oppressed.
That's
The
right.
next day, you're campaigning for Donald Trump. One day,
Yep.
it's about being independent. The next day, I'm hearing about you going into business with some white man. Make up your mind.
Nick
I
Fuentes.
think Kanye is trying to figure out where he is, but he got to make up his mind because you're too helter-skelter.
No,
And at this point,
Kanye
I'm gonna be
isn't
honest with you.
figuring out anything. Kanye is just being retarded. And an anti-Semite. And a clown. There's nothing to figure out here. He is what he is, and he doesn't care.
You. Although I appreciate Kanye's honesty, I think most of his agenda is about Kanye. And I'm going
Yes.
to say
Exactly.
that
He's
because when I
selfish.
look at our black billionaire class, whether it's Kanye, whether it's Oprah, whether it's Jay-Z,
He's not in that class
whether it's
anymore.
Tyler Perry, even if he's no longer in that class, none of them, LeBron, Puffy, none of them have built an independent black institution for the black community anywhere in this country. Not one.
How many lashes would Kanye get?
Kanye would probably get. I'm still working on Kanye lash count because I want to see where he ends up.
Yeah.
I need him to make up his
10,000
mind and
lashings.
stay there.
Okay.
And I need him to be a little bit more articulate with what he says because although I think Kanye is on the right track, he's not articulating himself well enough. He's not controlling his public narrative. So when I do interviews like this or any interview, I go out of my way to be careful with my wording so nobody can try to use it against me later. You have to try to control your narrative, and he will get on a platform and say some things that he may not even believe just for the shock value, and you're now giving the media the opportunity to brand you something that you are not.
That's even worse to me though. If you don't even have no real intention or you don't even know what the hell you're saying, that's so anti-intellectual.
Well,
It
the
is
issue
anti-intellectual.
Kanye, I think he's very brilliant, but I also think he's dealing with some unaddressed mental health issues.
That's
Yes.
true. That
He
true.
is dealing
You
with
said nothing but built institutions.
unaddressed
And
mental health
I
issues.
would not put him on the same level as a Kyrie Irving because I believe
I agree.
Kyrie is 100% genuine in his thinking. I think he's very thought out, and I think Kyrie does a good job of controlling his narrative. And I think that community that tried to destroy him could be accused of being hypocritical because Jeff Bezos, the $139 billion owner of Amazon, has just issued a statement a few days ago. They're not removing the DVD.
Oh no, that wasn't Jeff Bezos. That was the other, that was the current CEO of Amazon.
Okay, but Jeff Bezos is still the owner, isn't he?
He's got a percentage in it, but it was the current. The
Don't
person
make him
who
money
made that
off
statement
of
was the current CEO. Of
Okay,
Amazon.
current CEO, Jeff Bezos, whoever. Amazon is not pulling a DVD. They have not been accused of being anti-Semitic. They have not been accused of being racist. They have not been accused of being a hate monger of any other people. So if Kyrie can be accused of all that for sharing a video that he was not in, how is it that Amazon gets none of the smoke when they said they're not going to pull
No,
the
they been getting
video?
smoke. They been getting smoke.
Jonathan Black was up.
Jonathan Greenblatt.
was here
Okay.
yesterday, and I asked him that
I
same
like how they're
question.
fact checking this
And he
nigga,
said
bro.
they have been
This-
giving them the
Are you
smoke.
serious?
They wrote him letters. the
Like
same thing they
they
did.
ain't even pulling. They're like, oh, actually, yeah, they did get pushed back. Jesus Christ. God.
In Germany.
Umar
That's a
getting
country.
checked live, bro.
To actually have that.
I guess so in Germany.
Because of the denazification of Germany. I forgot how he worded it. I think he was saying that the.
But Amazon is global. That's one country.
Yeah, that's why.
So because they can't sell it in Germany,
No,
it's acceptable.
they don't want it up. Period. But they.
But where is the media campaign by them to crucify Amazon the way they crucify Kanye?
What
Kyrie,
media campaign
for
are you
sharing the
asking
video that
for?
Amazon is making millions of dollars on.
Like
I
people
will
are
say that
talking about them
I
just
will
as
say
much
that
as they're
Dr.
talking about
I
Kanye.
feel like sometimes
Honestly,
we
like the
can't
main
be
reason they
selective
talk about
morals.
Kanye more,
I think sometimes
you want to know why they
we-
talk about Kanye more often? I honestly don't really think it has much to do with race. That's part. It's a small snippet of that, but I think the biggest part of it is the fact that he's a celebrity. Like that's literally like the main thing. Kanye is very like notable, and he put himself on the map like many years ago, and then he put himself right back on the map when he endorsed Trump, and then he put himself smack dab on the map again when he came out with the Jesus is King stuff, and people were talking about him all the time because of that, and they quickly realized how fake he was being when he was talking about all this being like Christian and Jesus is King and whatnot, and then he put himself really hard back on the map when he came out with his anti-Semitism stuff. Like it has more to do with the fact that he's a celebrity more than anything else. His talent started it, and then now his rhetoric, like, Lord.
As in black people on social media make these stories bigger. Because if we wanted, like the Brett Favre situation, Amazon, if we talked about those situations like we talk about other things, we would create those campaigns.
But the white media made Kyrie's situation an issue. So if you're going to make it an issue for Kyrie, white media, make it an issue for Amazon, white media.
I mean, the white media did report on it when the ADL reported.
It didn't get the same energy.
I think
It did not get the same
I
energy.
really think
It's a double
I think that's
standard.
because of what we talk
Because they're
about.
not notable outside of what they
Anybody who
do.
practices
Because everybody knows that they're evil. Like Kanye is different. Honestly, that's another factor that goes into it, because Kanye basically did a full 180. That's why people are so like enamored and interested in this whole story surrounding him, because this is like the last thing that they would expect from him, considering how he started off when he was doing his talent. Like people expected all this evil from Amazon and all these other white folks and all this capitalist garbage that they do. People expected that from them. They talk about it, but not nearly as much as somebody that they least expected it from. That's what makes a story so interesting. They're more interested in interesting stories than anything else. And the fact that he's promoting basically black fascism, like people talk about white supremacy more often than anything else. Like when you see a black fascist that is a famous rapper, God, that is a topic that everyone wants to jump on. You don't want to miss out on that topic.
Selective morality, whether you're European Jew, whether you're a revolutionary Pan-Africanist, whether you're a socialist, a Christian, a Muslim, a Hebrew, selective morality is hypocrisy. Because what I'm saying, if Envy does it, it's wrong, and he should be punished. If Charlemagne does it, it's okay. Amazon is still selling it. They have yet to be branded by the ADL or anybody else as anti-Semitic. That's hypocrisy.
That's one of the questions.
It's hypocrisy.
That's one of the questions I asked Jonathan Greenblatt. I said, you know, it feels like when we do something, there's consequences.
Yes.
So I asked him, how do you punish that level of white privilege? How do you punish it, Donald
They're
Trump?
not going to
Tucker
punish it
Carlson,
because at
Amazon.
the end of the day, white supremacy requires commitment and loyalty from all groups of white people. They may have their internal differences, but at the end of the day, they all agree that black people must be kept in their place. The Kyrie and Kanye issue was more about suppressing.
Honest to God,
free
like
speech
racist
for
white
heterosexual
people
black males
don't
than
give a single shit about each other, to be honest with you. Like, they hate black people more than they care about other white people. They will easily disenfranchise as many white people as they possibly can, as long as they put 100% of black people like at the bottom of the barrel and in the fire. Like, if one black person is free, they will kill 10 white people to make sure one black person gets sent to hell. They would.
Was about anti-Semitism or anything like that. Look at Tiffany Cross. She said something on your show. They cut her. They made Jalen Rose take back what he said about the fact the woman at the heart of the Ime Udoka scandal has never been exposed. She cheated on her husband. Why is Ime Udoka all over the media, but the white woman who cheated on her husband is not all over the media? It's a double standard,
cares?
and we are not calling out the double standard. If wrong is wrong, it should be wrong for everybody. This is
I don't
not
hear about any
right
of this
or
stuff because
wrong.
I don't care
This
about
is
a lot of the mainstream
suppressing
stuff.
The First Amendment, freedom of speech rights of heterosexual black males who do not endorse the European narrative. That's what it's
I'm
about.
not against any of that you said. The only thing I push back on is, man, I do not like seeing people prop up Kanye West. Because Kanye West
I
is
agree.
the most anti-black Negro out here.
He
and
is.
I do not like when people just...
This
Why do you
dude is
say
spitting
that? Why do you
facts,
say
bro.
so
He's
anti?
Look
real.
at him. Look at who he chooses to be with. And
Nick
even when he had
Fuentes,
those billion-dollar
Milo
companies, what
Yiannopoulos,
was under the hood of
who
those
hangs at
companies?
endorsing Donald Trump. You can't get more anti-black than that. Like, being friendly with Nick Fuentes, someone who openly said that black people, he literally said, like, with his mouth, that black people are less than, and he would feel more comfortable if we were all in prison. He said something, I'm paraphrasing here, but he did say that. That's what he believes. He said he feels more comfortable when black people are getting beaten in the streets and are more disenfranchised. He likes that. He feels more comfortable when black people are away from him. Kanye chooses to hang out with that guy. Donald Trump, who tells the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. Milo Yiannopoulos. I don't even want to get into Milo Yiannopoulos.
Dr. Umar, where was his black staff?
I agree.
Where was his black leadership?
I agree.
You know, where
And that's why right now, as I just said a minute ago, I believe Kanye's agenda is what's best for Kanye.
Exactly.
I don't think it's about what's best for black people until he shows me something else. I really believe he did what he did to get freed of them contracts because he has the brand and the platform and the status now where he could probably make his own sneakers and make his own music and probably sell as much, if not more than
I
he
don't
did
believe
before.
that, Dr.
I don't
You give
believe
that
that at
man way
all.
too much
No, I
credit.
believe so.
I
I
don't
believe
believe
so.
that.
Kanye's big.
Well, let me
I
ask
don't
you
believe
about Charlamagne's football team. The
We-
Dallas Cowboys.
Yes!
And the owner, Jerry Jones.
Listen to this. Here's another example of selective morality. How is it Brett Favre, and I'm coming to Jerry, stole about $70 million of poor people's money from Mississippi to help his daughter's college build a volleyball field or something? And
Well, it
he
wasn't
don't-
that much. It was a lot.
It was up there.
Yeah, it was millions. It was millions.
It wasn't 70?
It
It
was
was in the
millions.
doubles?
It was millions. It was multi-millions. It
Okay.
wasn't 70.
Anyhow, he don't get indicted. He don't get charged. No charges are being brought against Brett Favre. If a black man did the same thing, you and I know he gets crucified. Look at the double standard in the selective morality. Now let's come to Jerry Jones. This the same Jerry Jones who never hired a black coach. Same Jerry Jones during the Colin Kaepernick protest of 2016 said, if any of my players are caught, quote unquote, disrespecting the American flag by taking a knee, they not gonna play on my team no more. This is that Jerry Jones.
That is
who
some
never
whiny
stood
bitch
up
behavior,
against
bro.
any of the racism in the state of Texas. And he gets caught in the picture. September the 9th, 1957, North Little Rock High School. And then he commits 3 lies. When asked about this picture, he was part of a mob to deny a group of African Americans entry into North Little Rock High School. He says he was just there to be curious. He says neither he nor any of the other white boys or people there knew what they were going to get into. That's lie number one. Jerry Jones had already admitted that his coach told him not to go nowhere near, that there would be trouble there. So how is it you didn't know what you was going into and nobody else there knew what you was going into when your coach told you it might be trouble and stay away from it? That was an absolute lie. And then when he was asked whether he regretted being there, he never answered the question. Where is Roger Goodell? Where's the NFL? Why isn't he being given a list of demands just like Kyrie was being given a list of demands? And check this out, to make matters worse, guess what else happened on September 9th, 1957, DJ Envy? What's that? President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs the 1957 Civil Rights Bill, creating the Civil Rights Commission within the Department of Justice. First act of civil rights legislation since 1875. Jerry Jones and the rest of them kids, they knew that. They were there to repudiate that presidential signing. They were also there because what happened 5 days before that? What happened on September 4th, 1957?
Was that the
10?
bombing?
The Little Rock 10 tried to get into Central High School, and Governor Forbes of Arkansas instructed the National Guard not to let them in. They were called the N-word, they were spit on, they were beat on, they were threatened, they were terrorized by white folks 5 days earlier. Jerry Jones knew exactly what he was going to get into. The Supreme Court just outlawed school desegregation 3 years earlier on May 17, 1954. He knew exactly why he was going. He was going to stop black people from coming into North Little Rock. Now, Stephen A. Smith says Jerry Jones don't deserve this. He don't deserve to be held accountable for his part in supporting one of the most racist events in American history, which was the desegregation of America's schools. He shouldn't be held accountable. Stephen A. says, since this happened 65 years ago, he should get a pass.
How many lashes for Stephen A?
Stephen A. is probably up to 150,000 lashes right now for his cooning. But listen, if Jerry Jones get a pass because he's 14, why didn't Emmett Till get a pass? He was 14. Tamir Rice, Ohio, he was 12. Where his pass at? What about the brother in Gulfport, Mississippi? 2 months ago, Jaheim Jalen, I'm forgetting his name, shot in the head coming out of a dollar store with his hands up. Where was his pass? Trayvon was 17. Where was his pass? Look at all the young black boys who are tried as adults in America's prisons right now serving time in adult prisons under the age of 17. Where they pass at, Stephen A? Why are we protecting
that happens? I wonder how often
men?
that still happens.
You know what makes it so sad?
Pretty sure it happens
Jerry
a lot.
Jones don't even have to defend himself. He got black men who will jump up. Did you see Michael Irvin? This Uncle Remus? Michael Irvin says, oh, he wasn't at the front of the line. So because he wasn't at the front of the line, he less racist than the ones who's at the front. Oh, he don't look like the guy with the cigarette in his mouth. Jerry Jones is a righteous man and a great man. All white people were that way back in the day. This is Michael Irvin. All white people were that way back in the day. So
I hate that excuse so much.
There's nothing worse.
How many lashes for Michael Irvin?
Michael Irvin get about 5,000 lashes for that.
5,000. Understandable.
No black
Justified.
man should ever volunteer himself, Stephen A. Smith and Michael Irvin, to play defense attorney for a white man. Jerry Jones ain't thinking about black folks. He has yet to speak up on social justice issues. He is a racist and he should be forced to sell the team. But it's not going to happen. Why? Because it would take the players of the NFL to protest to force him out. And we already see that our NFL athletes and our NBA athletes don't have enough courage. They're more concerned with money than they are about the movement. And that's why I'm disappointed in Deion Sanders.
Hold on 1 second. I don't think there's no defense. I know. I don't think there's no defense for Jerry Jones.
And there's no defense for Stephen A. Smith and Michael Irvin defending him either. Let that white man speak for himself.
Let that white man speak for
Y'all
himself.
don't take up for black people like that. Stephen A., you threw Kyrie under the bus. Shannon Sharp, you threw Kyrie under the bus. But soon when a white man messed up, and Shannon didn't defend Jerry Jones, but Stephen did, and Michael did. So when a white man make a mistake, every black man in sports media want to be defense attorney for white folks, but have no problem throwing black athletes under the bus.
And I like what Jay Williams said, that,
shout out to Jay Williams.
Yeah, Jerry Jones should be forced to denounce anti-black racism.
And he hasn't.
And he should discuss what he's learned over the past 6 years.
He ain't learned nothing. He's a privileged white man. He just as racist now as he was then. Listen, I've been studying psychology my whole life. I got a doctorate in it. I got 3 master's degrees in it. I got 2 certifications in it. You know what they tell you in psychology? That the human personality is largely fixed by the age of 5. 5. Jerry Jones was 14.
That's true. What does that mean?
You're going to tell me that Jerry Jones is fundamentally a different person now, at 80, than he was at 14? Let me
I
know what
I don't know how
critical
true
life
that is.
experiences Jerry Jones went through that
Maybe he's
transformed the way he
misinterpreting
thinks.
what the
Nothing at all.
data actually
People say, well, we gotta give him
saying.
credit. Dak Prescott talking about, look at his resume since then. Look at his resume since then, Dak Prescott. He ain't done nothing to help black folks, and Jerry Jones ain't thinking about helping black folks.
I don't like when people say because he didn't hire a black coach.
Wow,
Just because he
I
hired
am
a black
suddenly
coach don't
curious
mean-
about that one now. Give me a second. So here's something. I think I found something that that lends a bit of credence to what you're saying here. Like I read through a little bit of this. Like this one says like first grade age, like 6, like at age 6 or so is what I saw this article saying, or other articles saying. Like tracking personalities using data from a 1960s study, approximately 2,400 ethnically diverse school children grades 1 through 6 in Hawaii. Researchers compared teacher personality ratings of the students with videotaped interviews of 144 of those individuals 40 years later. They examined 4 personality attributes: talkativeness, called verbal fluency; adaptability, cope well with new situations; impulsiveness; and self-minimalizing behavior, essentially being humble to the point of minimizing one's importance. Among the findings, talkative youngsters tend to show interest in intellectual matters. Understandable. Speak fluently, try to control situations, and exhibit a high degree of intelligence as adults. Children who rated low on verbal fluency were observed as adults to seek advice, give up when faced with obstacles, and exhibit awkward interpersonal style. Okay? Children rated as highly adaptable tended as middle-aged adults to behave cheerfully, speak fluently, and show interest in intellectual matters. Those who rated low on adaptability as children were observed as adults to say negative things about themselves, seek advice, and exhibit awkward interpersonal style. Students rated as impulsive were inclined to speak loudly, displays a wide range of interests, and to be talkative as adults. Less impulsive kids tended to be fearful or timid, kept others at distance, and expressed insecurity as adults. Children characterized as self-minimalizing were likely to express guilt, seek reassurance, say negative things about themselves, and express insecurity as adults. Those who ranked low on self-minimalizing scale tend to speak loudly, show interest and intellectual matters, and exhibit condescending behavior as adults. Alright, let's see what the section says about changing personality. Previous research has suggested while our personalities can change, it's not an easy undertaking. Personality is as a part of us as part of our biology. They've said life events still influence our behaviors, yet we must acknowledge the power of personality in understanding future behavior as well. Future research will help us understand how personality is related to behavior, as well as examine the extent to which we may be able to change our personality. Okay, the whole personality thing is a very interesting thing, in my opinion, because, like, because personality can refer to a lot of things. I think there's an actual scientific definition of what personality is. The way I'm using personality is like character traits, which, in my personal opinion, are like, for the most part, stagnant. Like, for example, let's take me for example. One personality trait that I've pretty much had for a long time is we think. Something that I've always done is like kind of be a little bit more self-loathing in a sense. I've always had that problem as a child. And I do still have that problem now. As it's just been a consistent part of myself and it's not really like going away much. Kind of have a negative view of myself sometimes, but that's just a feeling and I'm like working through that. And you know, I kind of ignore it and like try to fall back on the fact that it's just a feeling and nothing else. It's just like the negative outlook doesn't really pan out in reality. I'm not as bad as I continue to think I am, you know. But that's besides the point. It's just a personality trait that's just been like a part of me for like since like forever. Like I always think people think the worst of me when in reality they don't actually think that about me, and it's just not true. I've had that problem forever. But what does change are my opinions and my values and beliefs, which are as moldable as all hell. Dr. Umar is talking about people's beliefs and their values. People can lie and grift about their beliefs and whatnot, but that can be influenced by a personality trait that causes someone to be more, you know, self-oriented and selfish and only like, you know, thinking of themselves. Like that can manifest in a bunch of different fashions, you know. It's complicated.
I do agree, but at least it shows you are at least concerned about how racism looks on your resume. Jerry Jones is not even concerned about how racism looks on his resume.
How many lashes should Charlamagne get for being a Cowboy fan still?
I like football.
Charlamagne,
You an Eagle fan? You like Eagles?
Nah, I'm not watching no football, no NBA no more. I'm done.
What?
I'm officially done, brother. We cannot be for the black liberation struggle and support white corporations and systems that systematically
I knew he was gonna go there.
defend white privilege and white racism against black people.
What about all those
What they
brothers that
did
play
to
the
Colin
sport?
Kaepernick, what about
There are
them?
brothers that play
They
the
just
sport.
there to get it back. They're not protesting. They're not doing nothing. They're not
Some of
building
those
no
brothers protest.
Okay.
Not Umar.
Okay. Show me a rich athlete who built a relevant independent black institution in this country. Give me one. And let me tell you what they are. Independent school. Don't give me no charter school. Charter schools are public schools. Don't give me no charter school.
James in the school he built?
That
LeBron
is a
speak- look,
public
Christ.
school,
It is,
Envy.
but
It
LeBron-
has his name on it.
But you know LeBron speaks up for black issues.
I didn't ask you about speaking. Let me go back to my question. My question was, name me a black celebrity or entertainer who has built a relevant, independent black institution.
But is that-
School.
I agree, but-
bank.
But is that the
Supermarket,
That's the one-
hospital,
that's all that matters.
manufacturing.
All of this is
distribution.
superficial.
It's the heart
That's
of
all
the
hell,
community,
and it
Charlamagne.
feeds into,
Take care of the major
you know, the
problems we
mental
got.
retardation
Just because
of
LeBron
capitalism.
James got in front of a microphone and undid what he did a few weeks ago, and I want to give LeBron some props. I appreciated his comments about Jerry Jones and comparing that to the way in which they tried to castrate Kyrie. Shout out to LeBron. But now, LeBron, don't pull a Shannon Sharp and a Stephen A. And right after you do something positive or say something good, you take it back by going right back to the Django character. You understand? He got to be consistent. Speech is not enough when you're worth billions. To whom much is given, Envy, much is expected. If you a billionaire talking,
So how can y'all co-sign Kanye so much? He don't do that. Kanye
All
does not
I-
pour back into black people.
Kanye
No, he doesn't.
spoke a significant truth to a significant white power
But he don't pull
that
back into
controls
black people.
I agree. I just
LeBron
said
didn't
that.
have infrastructures full of black people making
I'm gonna
capital.
ask you again. What
Dr.
institution
Umar is
that's
engaging
relevant
in
has
doublespeak
been
right
built
now.
by a black athlete or celebrity this century? I need an
But
answer.
you just mean school banking and
Relevant.
Okay.
LeBron James started a movement against voter disenfranchisement. Walk through the streets of Brooklyn, walk through the streets of Harlem, walk through the streets of the Bronx, walk through the streets of Queens, walk through the streets of Staten Island, and ask black people, what are the top 5 problems black people have in America? I promise you, voter suppression ain't one. Voter suppression
You're
ain't
right.
one. Come on, y'all. If we want to solve our problems, we got to get serious. And
Voter
black
suppression is
athletes have been
why are they so
COVID
unbe-
for far too
Dr.
long.
Umar is so
I think you
stupid.
being
They're
hard on some
more
of them brothers.
concerned about
Dog.
money.
Like, of course they're not gonna say that, but I'm pretty sure plenty of them are gonna recognize that, like if you ask them that voter suppression is a bad thing, they will say yes. It's not gonna be number one on the list, of course. There are other things that are high on the totem pole of problems that they have. Number one is always going to be rent and anything having to do with finances and the poverty that they're facing. That always takes a cake involving the problems that they're going to face. But if you ask them if voter suppression is a problem, they will definitely tell you yes. 9 times out of 10, those black people will tell you yes, that is a bad thing and it's disgusting. Because you need to ask yourself, why Why are the Republicans so invested in suppressing our rights to vote anyway? Why do you think they're so invested in that? Just some food for thought.
I know
They're making a
I know
difference.
we gotta go, but Deion Sanders, you were talking about Deion Sanders.
Deion.
What's your thoughts on Deion
Everybody
Sanders?
been texting me about this all week.
Talk to me about Dion, Dr. Umar.
Mind you, before you get into it, you know, Charlemagne gave Donkey today to people that will criticize him.
I know.
That's right.
And I'm coming right at it.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm coming right at it.
Let's go.
More lashes.
I'm coming right at more lashes.
All lashes.
When Deion Sanders stood against Colin Kaepernick's protest in 16, I branded him a Negro peon.
He did?
Yes, he did. He said he did. I saw him say it out of his mouth on an interview. He said he should not have taken that knee. It was wrong. Deion Sanders.
He said that?
I put him in a Negro peon camp because he didn't stand with Colin Kaepernick. When I heard Deion Sanders was taking the job, I said, okay, I'm going to give him his black pass back. Because
His black pass?
one of the top
I'm
5
sorry,
greatest
Mr.
athletes,
Umar. You
arguably
are not
the greatest
qualified to
football
pass
player ever,
and take black passes.
including Tom Brady. Deion could go down as greater than. You go to Jackson State, HBCU. That's impressive. Now I hear all of a sudden you might be leaving.
Well,
So
he's,
that-
he's leaving.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
gone. Stay with me. He's wrong. But I have 2 levels of wrong. I got a low level and I got a high. I'll explain them to you quickly. My low level. If Deion told the administration and the students and the players at Jackson State that I'm taking this job, but I need y'all to know, if something better comes along, as soon as it comes along, I may be leaving.
He did say
He
that.
said that.
If he was that transparent, I didn't see that.
I played the clip the other day. He said it on 60 Minutes. He said that.
No, he said he may be leaving. He did not say he was leaving after 3 years.
No, he said that if a Power 5 school comes along,
Yes.
I have to entertain it. I would be a fool not to. And Dion has
That's
always
not
been
the same.
No, Dion has always been transparent and open about what his goals were.
That is not, no, I disagree with you. He told them if it comes his way, he would have to entertain it. He never said I would leave you that soon. He never said I can be gone in 3 years.
What does it matter though? His contract is
I'm
over
gonna tell you
before.
why it matters. I'm about to tell you right now why it matters. Because he damn wrong. Now, if he told them,
What?
I'm gonna go back and study some more. But from what I seen him say, he was not that direct. But if he
Definitely
was, and that's not what I saw, so we disagree there. But if he was, he's still wrong, but it's a low level because at least you was transparent and you gave him informed consent. They knew you could leave at any time.
That's right.
Okay? Still wrong. I'm gonna explain in a minute. Now, if he didn't tell them that, okay? And I'm hearing from people who know athletes on that team that they were not told it that way,
They weren't listening.
they're upset.
Because he said that on 60 Minutes.
okay? He didn't say it that way, Charlamagne. I
Yes,
saw
he
that.
did.
He
That's
did
an
not.
exact
No, he
quote.
didn't.
Exact
Now,
quote.
if he did not do it that way, that automatically means that Deion Sanders used.
I believe they're
abused,
talking about the guy that
and
kneeled
exploited
to national anthem.
HBCU Jackson State just to be given an opportunity to show.
Correct me if I'm
predominantly
wrong, I
white
believe this
institutions
discourse is
that
about
he could
whether
coach.
he's passionate
If he
about,
only used
like,
them
black
as a
liberation.
stepping stone to getting a job at a white college, he was dead wrong. Now let me tell y'all why this is bigger than football. What case is the Supreme Court reviewing right now?
The
Right now,
affirmative action case against black, what is it, for black students in college?
Absolutely. The U.S. Supreme Court right now is reviewing whether or not racially conscious admissions in higher education are unconstitutional. And guess who is bringing the suit? Asians. But guess who's funding the suit? White people with connections to the 6 conservative justices on the United States Supreme Court bench. So, what they're saying is Asians are discriminated against on the basis of the personality aspect of the admissions process at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, among other universities, by subjecting Asians to that personality assessment, which includes personality, background, socioeconomic status, culture, this, that, who you are, what you want to be. Asians are being penalized for the high test scores and grades. So what the Asians want and what the white folks who are funding the Asians want is they want the Supreme Court to say you cannot include race at all as a factor in higher education admissions. If they throw that out, if they say Harvard cannot use the personality assessment portion of the admissions process, the percentage of Asians that get accepted into PWIs goes up by 20%, and the percentage of black students will plummet by at least 50%. You know what that means? You are watching the gentrification of black children off of the PWI campus. How is this
What?
relevant to Deion Sanders? The reason I'm so personally disappointed in Deion is I thought he was there for a movement, not for money. Meaning, Deion Sanders, the coach of Jackson State, I foresaw a situation where Deion would hire other coaches, other retired black NFL greats to coach other HBCUs. In doing so, you attract our top tier high school athletes to come to
Maybe.
HBCU.
Maybe.
Stay with me.
Because Eddie George is at Tennessee
Stay
State.
with me. Stay with me. Football and you know, like I know, if you got top tier NFL greats coaching HBCUs, the athletes.
I have no
are
idea
coming
what
just
the
like
case
they
was
was coming
talking
for
about
Deion.
regarding
He
the
showed
Asians
you,
and
Sean.
education
Deion,
He
shit.
showed you.
But like,
And his other one's
Deion,
just as
one of the most
great.
famous people ever.
And his other one's just as
I
great.
feel
So
like his
listen,
framing on
Jordan,
that
you think
situation
that's
is
one person. We talking about a system, not an individual.
wrong and
So,
bad.
Deion and these other coaches.
I would have
bring
to
all
know
these
more
athletes
about
from
that
high school
case,
to play
though.
Football, basketball, so forth. The revenue of the HBCU goes up, Envy. As a result of the revenue going up, Charlemagne, the schools got more money. They don't have to subject themselves to closure. They don't have to subject themselves to being dependent on white money. You got HBCUs at risk of being closed. I read something that said almost a half of them. A half may not survive the decade.
Half.
So this was bigger than football. This was about the survival of the HBCU.
It's bigger than Deion,
especially,
though,
no,
Yes,
no,
it is. I think
no.
we-
Stop trying
you
to.
bla- you're blaming
stop
the
trying
individual.
to.
No, you're
stop trying to give
You're-
celebrities a pass,
but
Charlemagne.
no, you're blaming the individual
I'm not
instead of
blaming
talking about
him.
the issue.
I'm blaming black men for not being men.
But you know what
I'm
that-
blaming us for
What?
not being men. That was an unmanly move.
Can you admit one thing?
Deion could have went down in history,
Are
brother.
HBCUs chronically underfunded?
Of course.
Were they chronically underfunded before Deion?
Yes.
Yes.
Would they be chronically underfunded after Deion?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What are those reasons that they're chronically underfunded?
We don't
Because
get back.
we as black men have not come together to create the funding source to make sure they survive. I don't want to hear about the government. We have
Yeah.
too many
That-
wealthy
that's
blacks.
one-
Y'all
exactly.
interview them
That's one of the
every day.
factors.
With
They're
you.
both
So
factors,
you got
actually.
low donor,
Alumni donors.
low alumni donors,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Low endowments.
Correct.
That's a us problem.
Yes.
He's part of us. Why you keep exhibiting celebrities?
one
They're not
person.
better than us.
He
He's
is just one
Okay,
person.
but the point is that one man could have been a catalyst for a movement that would have revolutionized the survival of
But
HBCUs.
why does the movement stop just because he left? HBCUs will
You're
still be
missing
there.
the point.
The movement is
No.
bigger than just
The
him, though.
Abolition wasn't just about Frederick Douglass, but if Frederick Douglass would have pulled out, it would have hurt it. The Underground Railroad wasn't just about
No,
Harriet, but if she
actually,
would've pulled
no.
out,
I
it would've
completely
failed.
disagree with that. The problem is the fact that Frederick Douglass was unique in what he did. There should have been thousands of Frederick Douglasses. There should have been thousands of Harriet Tubmans. That's the problem there. Everyone should be like them. We shouldn't it shouldn't be one of a kind. That's what the real issue is. Everyone should. People don't do this, but everyone should strive to be like those figures.
So what was
The
the,
civil
HBCU
rights movement wasn't
before
just
Deion?
about King.
Before Deion 3 years ago, what was
They
the
were
HBCU?
struggling, and he could have helped save it.
I don't
And for
agree
him
with
to
hinging
pull out
entire
Jackson
movements
State
on
the way that he did it before making sure
specific
the
figures.
HBCU system survived. To me, was selfish.
We don't
He
need like
chose
a new
money over the
leader
movement,
figure.
Charlamagne.
I don't
And
believe
celebrities
in
do
like
it
this
all
whole
the time,
leader
and y'all wanna
garbage
give
at
him a pass.
all.
Nobody get no
That's
pass.
that's
I don't
very
care
unfair
who
to say.
Deion
Everyone
said
should
he
actually
is.
pitch
He had a
in
chance
and,
to
like,
help, and he
do
hurt,
their
and
part
y'all wanna
for these
condone that
social
because you
movements.
black celebrities are not committed to the best interests of black
Let me
people.
ask you a question. When Deion was coaching high school kids for several years, you know, when he
We
was
ain't talking about that. We're talking about survival of HBCU.
I'm gonna get there. When he was coaching high school kids for several years, you know, black kids, when he was opening up Prime Prep Academy that got closed down because they had financial issues. When he went to Jackson State for $1.2 million for 4 years and said, you know what, y'all
He didn't
take
even stay for 4 years.
But listen, y'all take half this salary and go
$600,000
build a
back
better
into the facility.
go build a better facility for students, and he got to pay back $300,000.
And after all that, I'm still going to leave Jackson State for a super white college that got
Super
a
white?
1.6 black student
But you didn't let me finish my point.
rate. No,
How can
no,
you- how
wait.
can you say he's about-
1.6 black students, which means the only blacks on that campus are the athletes, and you're going to tell me that that's a step up? You sold us out for money, bro.
How can you say it's about money when when his track record shows
He stayed
don't
for
pour
3
into
years.
kids
That
for
was
money?
no commitment. His track record shows that if white people give me the money, I'll turn my back on the HBCU
I disagree,
system.
Dr. Umar.
What are you talking
Wow.
about? That's what he did.
I disagree.
That's what he just did.
I disagree.
Come on, man. If he would have stayed
disagree.
there, if Deion would have stayed there, like I said, he could have brought other black coaches in, former NFL greats. They would have raised the revenue of the HBCU, which is so critical now. Why? Because the Asians are being financed by white folks to kick what little blacks are left on the PWI campus off. So that means the critical importance of the HBCU is greater now than it's ever.
Okay. I'm not gonna pretend that to a degree that Asians uphold white supremacy. But am I the only one that feels like he's framing this so poorly? Like, the way he's like generalizing this, like the Asians, like, okay. And I don't even like the way he generalizes like the white folks. All of this is just racist as fuck, bro. All of it is. The rhetoric and the language that he deliberately engages in. Dr. Umar is not stupid. Like, at least like Kanye has 0.2% of the benefit of the doubt of being just like clinically like insane in the head. I don't think Dr. Umar has the issues that Kanye has. I think Dr. Umar is media trained. He knows how to use his rhetoric. He's not stupid. He's intelligent. He seems to be well read even. He's rhetorically sound. He's all of that. He knows what he's talking about. This isn't a rhetoric issue. He knows the language he's engaging in. He's not dumb. This is deliberate language that he's using. The generalized rhetoric is deliberate.
So for Deion to pull this right now makes it even worse because you're leaving the HBCU system when you had a chance.
So how many lashes for Deion?
Stop trying to exempt black celebrities from accountability to the race. Celebrities are not above accountability. Stop, Charlotte.
So how many
Nobody said that.
50,000 lashes for Deion.
Now, no. Shut up. More important question.
50,000 lashes.
How much you want to donate to an HBCU
damn,
today?
I'm building 2 independent schools, the first in its history.
No doubt, but those aren't HBCUs.
Whoa.
No. If you're gonna be that passionate about HBCUs, how much you gonna donate to an HBCU
Let me answer
today?
your question. May I?
Yes.
First of all, I'm not a multi-millionaire. Second of all,
Why you gotta be a
can I
multi-millionaire
finish
to
my
donate?
question? Can I finish my question? I donate to HBCUs on a regular basis.
Okay.
I do. But my point is, I'm focused on destroying the school-to-prison pipeline. I'm building 2 independent schools.
And
from
I
the ground.
applaud you for that.
Black money.
Good job.
Nobody you've interviewed in this studio ever is doing that.
Ever.
Not one of them. You understand me? So I'm doing my part, and that's why I can expect Deion Sanders to do his part. And that's why lashes also go to Shannon Sharp. Because
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp on national
Everybody
television
getting lashes.
said he didn't even want to go to a HBCU. He wanted to go to a PWI. And every time celebrities try to do something good, black people want to beat them up. I beg your pardon, Shannon Sharp. I know that you don't date black women. You have no loyalty to black women. Now you want to tell the world you have no loyalty to the HBCU. If you didn't want to go to Savannah State, you keep that to yourself, you Negropean. You don't tell the whole world that you didn't want to go to a HBCU and then try to chide the black community for asking Deion Sanders to have a little commitment.
With all that said, Dr. Umar, what do we do for HBCUs moving forward? Because Deion gone, but HBCUs gonna still be here.
I just told you, black celebrities have to come together, stop buying chains, stop going to clubs and strip joints, stop with all the expensive clothing, stop cooning, and use some of this disposable income that we spend it on Christmas gifts right now and come up with a funding source. So many
That would be nice.
celebrities
I
went
agree.
to
They're not gonna do that, though.
HBCUs. Why can't they be the catalyst of a black celebrity and grassroots? Because we should be
Let's be
paying
real.
to
They're not
the
gonna do
movement
that.
to finance this. I'm simply saying Deion could have been the face of that and was beginning to be, and he allowed himself to get bought out by a white
But he left the
university.
blueprint.
That's it. I don't want to hear about no
He
blueprint.
left the blueprint.
That's like Harriet Tubman saying, I'm not going to help you on the Underground Railroad. I'm going to lead a blueprint. Marcus Garvey, I'm not going to help you with the independence movement.
I'll take
I'm
the
going to
map.
lead a blueprint. That's
Yeah,
cowardliness,
I'm with
man.
Umar on that
I'm
one.
not. I can't. I'm not
That's
putting that all on
cowardliness.
Deion because there's enough of us that can keep these programs sustained if we do what we're supposed to do.
Okay, but we can't do that with people running away like Deion Sanders. That was a cowardly move. He was wrong.
How many
You're
lashes you say
listening-
Deion get?
50,000.
And how much percentage?
Damn. No.
Shannon keep cooning. Shannon gonna get about 100 by now.
Goodness.
Stephen
Okay.
A getting about 50,000.
50,000.
Candace Owens needs about 250,000 lashes.
More
She
than
out
that.
there doing documentaries on Black Lives Matter.
Oh,
which
come
is
on.
appropriate because they were wrong for misappropriating.
Oh, come
that money.
on.
But
Dr.
where's
Umar, I completely disagree with you on the Candace Owens front. She deserves far more. Multiply your number by another 25,000 plus.
Owens documentary on the Brett Favre situation or the Jerry Jones situation. My disagreement with my sister is she's letting white folks finance her to embarrass her people publicly. No black person should do that.
Sister.
And also, I just want to tell y'all, Dr. Umar is going to be on my late night talk show this
Yes,
week,
sir.
hell of a week.
And we're gonna have a
I
hell
can't
of a
wait.
time.
I like, listen.
Envy, I want your listeners, please support the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy.
That's
I
right.
need
Get
to
on your
say
Cash
something,
App, $
like-
FDMG School, $
This is what's so especially frustrating about the language that Dr. Umar uses and engages in, because he weaponizes like rhetoric that a lot of white supremacists would consider to be woke. Like, this guy basically does nothing but promote fascism and racism, and his beliefs are inherently hierarchical, which are inherently right-wing. White supremacists look at him and call him an extreme far-left woke communist, because he's a black person saying this, and he just kind of is weird about white people. White supremacists and any white conservative who's just completely brain dead and politically illiterate will call him a far-left woke communist, when he's not. He's a far-right extremist fascist.
sign FDMG School. Get on your PayPal. PayPal.me/FDMG Academy, PayPal.me/FDMG Academy, and make sure you subscribe to my video on demand site, www.drumar.tv, www.drumar.tv. Parents, stop getting your children tested for special ed. I'm gonna say this and I'm done. In the post-COVID era, we're seeing a surge of black children be put in special ed. The schools are exploiting the miseducation that our children were subjected to during COVID when they were home learning on the laptop, okay? And they're now using these academic losses as a justification for special ed. So I'm telling you, every black mother and father out there, if the school asks you to get your child tested, you tell the school that the reason my child is behind grade level in reading or math is because they didn't get adequate instruction during COVID. They're not going to special ed. Give them a tutor from that Title I money. And if your child doesn't go to a Title I school,
That's
you dig in your
interesting.
pocket and you pay for a tutor.
I'm not gonna
They
sit here
don't need an
and say that
IEP.
he's
They
wrong.
don't need
I don't
special
know.
ed.
I
They
honestly
need a
just don't
tutor.
know.
If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Black celebrities must be held accountable.
Make sure you watch Dr. Umar tonight on Hell of a Week, 11:30 p.m. on Comedy Central.
There you have
I
it.
always appreciate you, Dr.
Yeah,
Umar.
thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, well.
We gotta take our flick, right?
It's the
Let's
hey,
do
we
it.
gotta close it out, man. It's the Breakfast Club.
My bad.
Dr. Umar
It's the
Johnson,
Breakfast
ladies and
Club.
gentlemen.
The revolution don't stop, baby.
Wow.
Revolution don't stop.
God, I really hope the Breakfast Club brings this nigga back on again. Jesus Christ. Like, Dr. Umar is ridiculous in every conceivable way, and that's what makes him so, like, entertaining in my opinion. And I think that's why the Breakfast Club invites him on here. This is not their first time inviting Dr. Umar on their show. Like, this is not their first time doing it. Maybe they did it once before. I don't know if they did it again. But God, he's just like... He's one of those it's so bad it's good, because it's like... The guy is just ridiculous. And he's not a good person. His beliefs aren't good at all. And like... I don't think black fascism has any hope of ever, like, reaching any kind of, like... tangibility in America or in the West broadly, like at all. Well, not even broad, just not at all. It'll never see the light of day at all in the West. The problem is it leads black people into a trap of falling for this nonsense and believing in this garbage that is self-damaging to the black community as a whole, and it's just not good. And it further damages the perception of everyone else of our entire community, because if we further like lend credence to this narrative that we're all just a bunch of crazed Negroes looking for retribution, and we're
Yeah, you see, you black people are just as racist as us. We're all racist.
it's just really bad. It hurts, harms race relations. It's bad for society in general. It's poop, really poop for the black community. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, if you enjoy this video, yeah, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Support me on Patreon, and follow my Twitter if you like art. And other than that, then peace. Catch you later.
What's that?
Do you have insurance on this car?
No.
It must be Eagle Man.
I've got something for you.
Oh, look at those low rates.